Coffee while working in a cafe, I'd say 100% not.
No.
It's
Nice
like,
try, Caddy. I like your thinking,
I
but
like
no.
the thinking for sure. Okay, let's just sort of breathe a little bit and sort of come down off the precipice because we were about to sort of arm ourselves and head to wherever Maggie lives and find this accountant.
So mad. Hi, and welcome to the Bank of Dad podcast. I'm Kate, and this is my dad, Pete.
Hello.
And we're here to teach you the money lessons we were never taught at school. There's no judgment, no jargon, just real talk about how to handle your money.
But there is a little bit of natural light this week.
Yes, we're spicing it up.
Well, yeah, it seems a shame, doesn't it? Because obviously in the studio we kind of block out all natural light so we can control the lighting. But it's quite nice, and you got a bit of a halo effect behind you.
Yes, well, I am angelic.
I know
Ben
different.
would probably say.
I know
not.
different.
Yeah, and you. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
this week we've got another Q&A episode.
It's not bad. This is number 30, isn't it?
31.
31.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's
exciting.
enough questions in 30 episodes.
Well, more like 15 because we've already done one.
Mm-hmm.
10 actually, because Q&A was episode 20 and episode 21.
Oh, we did it over 2 episodes.
We did
didn't
indeed.
And there's some quite long questions this one, so we should probably crack on.
Yes, we'll see how we get on.
And we're
But
going to skip Wanky Word of the Week.
yeah, we're deeply heartbroken about it, but there isn't really a theme to any of these questions.
No. So, yeah, we'll drop it this week and it'll return next week in all its glory.
I know. We'll really celebrate the jingle. Right, do you know what? Let's get straight into it because, like you said, there's quite a lot of questions and quite a lot of long ones. Okay.
First one is anonymous.
First one is anonymous. Yep, they wish to remain anonymous in their
no
email.
worries.
So,
You going to read it?
otherwise I have nothing to do in this episode.
That's true. I think we decided that last time.
Yeah,
Okay,
if you
come on.
read them and then
answer
answer
them.
them, I'll just be quiet. Like, it's kind of.
Yeah, good point.
Otherwise, I don't really have much to do. So I am going to read them.
One of them you also get to answer, though. I hope you've prepared.
Oh, I have not. So cool. I don't remember that. I wrote this. Anyway, right. Number 1 from Anonymous. Hi there. Just wanted to say that I'm glad you've started this pod. It is a crime that these sorts of things, that I assume you'll go on to cover, are not taught at school. Financial literacy is a vital life skill. Oxbow lakes, equilateral triangles, etc. Not so much, in my humble opinion. I agree. Thank you as well.
Yep.
In my childhood, money was always a source of stress and worry, which made me very cautious when with it through my 20s and 30s, always choosing regular saving accounts over investment products. It has only been since the increase of UK YouTubers talking about the subject of investing that has opened my eyes to it all and made me realise the risks are so much less than I'd imagined, providing you follow a few simple rules, of course. And the difference to my personal wealth if I had known what I know now 10 to 15 years ago would be staggering.
Yeah, wouldn't it just?
But you know it now.
Yeah.
My question is, with the government's push towards investing, changing ISA allowance, we'll go back into that, and the nation's default financial advisor, Martin Lewis, finally talking about the subject on primetime TV, do you foresee younger generations actually partaking in investing more? Or do you feel the older generations and their families, who were never taught about it, will discourage them? I fear unless this is taught at school level, even 20-somethings may have an aversion to investing built in. To change the UK's attitude to investing will surely take decades. You guys give me hope that the younger generations can be reached at that formative time and plant a seed that will positively affect their entire lives. More power to you. Good luck with the podcast. You're doing a good thing. Kind regards. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Anonymous. Shows just the power of language, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's in because
And sort of parental influence. Source of stress and worry as a growing up.
impacted
Didn't really
his
get
20s.
hold of this all the way to 20s and 30s impacted.
Yeah, I thought this was quite a nice one to ease us in because it's not like technical. It's kind of just like, what do you think?
Yeah, the technical one sometimes messes up. No, it's if they do, that's a damning indictment.
Yeah,
on the
right,
last
I was gonna say.
30 years of my career, but never mind. Yeah, do you know what? It is important, and for the next generation growing up. So no rush into this, of course. But when you have kids, this will be something to be aware of. The language around
absolutely.
money, security. Abundance, all that sort of stuff. You got to be really careful because kids listen to everything, and they pick up on unspoken things as well. Stress,
I was going
worry.
to say they really pick up on things like that.
And I think it's important to protect children, and then eventually get to the point where it's it's not a taboo subject, but you still should guard what you give to children and what you say to them, and not be sort of loose with it. You need to be, as with all things, intentional and think it through, because you can do a lot of damage very easily.
The amount of things when I worked in a primary school that I would hear children say that based on how I knew that child, would be verbatim from their parents.
Yeah, sure.
But that makes no sense coming from your mouth.
No, for sure. So Anonymous's question is, it's not so much a question, but sort of,
What do you think?
is it going to take decades for kind of attitudes to change? I'm not sure about decades, but I think it'll take a long time. I mean, if you think December 2005, YouTube was made available to the public, right? So it's just over 20 years, really, 20 and a half years.
Yep.
And how the world has changed since then.
Oh my days.
I mean, YouTube is just a start. Now we've got, it's obviously TikTok and a million different platforms. Easier ways of learning. You've got things like Skillshare and Udemy and, easy ways to learn. Yes, it's paid for,
anything.
but super cheap. Literally anything. From coding to budgeting. And then also now you've got the rise of AI, which is going to be incredibly helpful. It's far from perfect yet, but it's going to be amazingly helpful. Almost as a thinking partner for people maybe wondering about investing. Dear ChatGPT, I'm thinking about investing, but I'm really, really worried about the risks because all my parents talked about was how stock market is a gambling den sort of thing.
Not
using
true,
no, definitely not. But using AI as a thinking partner and to challenge ourselves, I think is one of the higher uses of it. So, I think that just the pace of change is going to continue to increase. So I'm really positive. And because it's easier now to access good information, of course, the flip side to that is that there's a lot of crap information as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting. There's the FCA, which is the financial regulator in the UK, Financial Conduct Authority, held a survey called Financial Lives in May 2024. They identified that 90% of UK adults had some level of cash savings.
Cash savings.
Yeah, so savings of any kind. So money put aside.
So that could be like
how much.
an ISA or something like that.
Yeah, it could be like 100 quid put aside. It's not to say it's sort of 10 grand or anything like that. But only 35%, 1 in 3 roughly, held investments.
Oh, interesting.
And among people with £10,000 or more of investable assets, so more than 10 grand set aside, 61% of people held at least 3/4 of it in cash.
Wow.
So there's a huge skew towards cash in this country because it's known, it's understandable, and it's safe.
Well, yeah, it's not going to change. It's there.
No, it's there. But of course, what people don't know is obviously the ravages of inflation and how. So roughly 35% of UK adults hold investments. It's 62% in the US.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
I wonder
62%
why.
of Americans own stocks, only 35%, so nearly twice as many people as a percentage. I don't know why. I do wonder if it's the sort of American dream, you can start by flipping burgers, but if you work hard, you can end up owning a franchise.
Yeah, maybe.
Or the fact that obviously so many of the world's great companies are based in the US.
Also,
pretty much all,
but a lot of them.
Many of them. So I don't know what the answer to that is, but it'll come from education. It'll come from unwinding a lot of the prejudices from previous generations for sure. But look, I'm positive about the future of investing. I also think it's easier than it's ever been to invest. Literally 20, 25 years ago, you would have had to have filled in a paper application form which you got from a financial advisor or direct through the post from an investment company, send off a check.
Oh, I'm already bored.
I know, right? Whereas now it's like, brilliant,
done.
Brilliant user interfaces, done for you portfolios, guided investments. There's so much that makes it easier than it's ever been. I'm really positive. So we just need to keep going.
We do.
Keep spreading the word. I love
Barreling on to the next one. This is from Caddy.
I just love that name. I love the Welsh names.
The name.
Particularly Welsh ladies' names.
Yeah, it is a lovely
Caddy
name.
is a lovely name.
Hi both. Thank you so much for this podcast. Super simple but comprehensive. I'm very much in your target audience, early 20s, beginning full-time work, hoping to set myself up for the long term. Well, Caddy, you're doing great already. This question topic may be its own episode. We'll decide that. I work freelance in the theatre industry. Can we be friends? Which comes with a whole host of financial questions. Last year was my first year as a freelancer. I get to battle HMRC's tax return forms.
Yeah, bless you.
So she's kind of got 2 points here. Any further tips for budgeting when your income can massively vary throughout the year? I assume a larger emergency fund. Do you want to answer that first? Or should I do them?
No, just go through.
And the other one was, what can you claim on your tax returns? What counts as purchases being made for work? Petrol, rent, a new phone, even coffees when working at my laptop at a coffee shop?
Good questions.
Also, it turns out that Caddy actually knows.
Go on then.
Do you want? Yeah,
read it.
P.S. I hope this isn't too weird, but I think my dad and your dad know each other. Apparently, Dad, Pete, played piano at my parents' wedding. Marcus and Julia Davidge back in 1997 in Cross Keys. Thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing.
I did. I think I've known Julia even longer than Marcus, actually.
Really?
Yeah. It's all from university days in Cardiff. Marcus, very
and you
good
played at
keyboard
their
player.
wedding.
Yeah, man, that's going back a bit. Played piano.
Well, yeah, 1997 they got married.
Same year me and your mum got married, so
Oh.
yeah, there we go.
The year of love.
Okay.
That's why I went northern there.
No. So budgeting first.
Yes. Any further tips if your income varies? Because she's working freelance, so it's not. She doesn't know, I guess, roughly what she's going to have every month.
Yeah, I think like the arts is kind of the motherlode of varying income.
Yeah,
right. You
absolutely.
It could be nothing to potentially very high income if things go very well.
But then you could have 3 months of nothing.
Of absolutely nothing. So. Oh, yes, definitely a larger emergency fund where that's possible, because that will act both as an emergency fund but also as a kind of a smoothing fund potentially, because you may need to dip into it in sort of lower months.
And probably more regularly than other people would use an emergency fund.
It is hard. I would try to work, if at all possible, I would try to work a budget to like a kind of a lower monthly but the same amount, if at all possible. So let's say you can get some money behind you, right?
Yeah.
And you can budget to, I don't know, 1,200 quid a month, right? And if like a good month is 2.5 grand and a bad month is 500 quid.
Then you can survive off 1,200 quid.
Yeah, and the key is to continue with that lower amount, even in the really good months, and use the good months to top up your buffer. And when the buffer gets to a point where, you're comfortable with it, then maybe you can then stretch things a bit and say, I'm going to go up to 1,500 quid a month because now I've got 10 grand in my buffer account. So I would actually, if possible, I would actually separate the emergency fund from the buffer thing. But it sometimes it's like I'm going to work my ass off doing as many jobs as I can to build that buffer. When I'm not theatering, I'm working at Mackie D's or I'm doing waitressing or whatever.
Yeah, delivery driving or whatever it is.
Whatever it is, to get the money in, because then you have your baseline.
Yeah.
And you have the buffer behind you and say, right, well, actually, now my career is starting. I can identify what a sort of bad month is and what a really good month is. It may not even be that predictable. But then try to live on an amount which is considerably lower than a good month.
So that then you've got got the freedom. It was like what my sister's doing. She works in a restaurant to make up any income because she works in a charity, so it's not
not brilliantly paid.
So maybe you might just need to build a bit of a buffer. But I quite like the idea of having a different, like 2 funds: emergency fund for real emergencies, and then a buffer fund or a smoothing fund or something, just to be like, okay, it's a low month, but it's all right because I've got 5 grand in it. Help me through.
Sit behind, and I think that's really the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
Same applies if you're on shifts or if you're on in a job where there's perhaps commissions which fluctuate. So on like a state agency, that used to be the case. I don't know if it still is, but it was when I was in it. And so you'd have good months and bad months. And the problem is if you live always to the good months, you're going to really suffer in the bad months. And you're going to end up getting into debt. So you need to set your sort of baseline spending at quite a bit lower than what a good month would be, ideally, and then push it as general earnings rise.
And Caddy's other question was, what can you claim on your tax return?
Yeah, this is a beauty. I mean, this is why accountants have jobs. I mean, among other reasons. Oh my God,
you've got so many answers.
Well, I'm not ashamed to admit that even I went to GPT on this because I'm not an accountant, right?
Yep.
So there is a kind of golden rule, Caddy, that if you are claiming for something, and by that, for those who don't know, simply we mean if, let's say, you earned £1,000, but it cost you, say, £200 to earn that 1,000. So let's say you had to travel somewhere to earn that, or you had to buy something in order to get that job to earn that 1,000 quid. You can offset one against the other. But the golden rule is that you can only offset stuff which is wholly for the purposes of the business. So I think there's an example about can she buy coffee?
Like coffee while she's working? No.
Yeah. Well, look, so
I guess.
Bunch of things. Keep really good records, right? So we've talked before about having a separate business bank account.
Yeah.
From your personal bank account. So get paid into one account that's your kind of working account, and then kind of draw a salary off that again at the lower amount that we've been talking about. ask yourself, would I have incurred this cost that I'm thinking of claiming? Would I have incurred it for the business? So, if you're buying theatre-specific equipment or materials, professional subscriptions, you're not going to do a professional subscrition for something theatre-related unless you're in the theatre. So it's fairly easy to claim that as work-related.
So, for example, when I was, this isn't a bulletproof example, but we have Final Cut Pro, which is our editing software. That is a paid thing.
Paid subscription, yeah.
When I was House of Colour using that for making content, I could claim that back.
Yes.
Because that was
Because it was marketing.
Yeah.
So if Caddy gets headshots or if she has a personal website built for herself, it's easy to argue that that's wholly for the purposes of her doing work.
Yeah.
Phone and internet, well, yeah, but only chances are, if you've got a mobile phone, you're using it for personal stuff as well as business.
So if you have a work phone, yes. If you have use it for
one
both,
phone for
harder
both,
to prove it.
Well, you just would only be able to claim part.
Oh,
and in which case, how do you define that?
How often do you spend doing work stuff? Yeah, that's already faffy.
Who phones people these days? It used to be, it's like, well, I could go through the phone lists. Who does that, right? So you might just say, well, okay, I'm going to claim a reasonable percentage, like 15 or 20% to be work-related, and the rest I will cover as a personal.
Yeah.
Petrol, likewise. You can't claim for travel to your normal place of work.
No, but if you're at work and then commute somewhere for work,
then that's fine.
So like if you're at the theatre and then you have to go to, I don't know, a different theatre, that journey
could be all right. If you're freelance, obviously there's no boss to cover your mileage.
No, but that's what we're saying. You can claim back.
Yeah, so you can claim it back from there, and you can't do both because that would be great. You got to claim it off your boss and the revenue.
No,
that'd be quite nice. But obviously in the theatre, chances are you don't have a normal place of work. You might be working at one theatre for 2 weeks and then somewhere else, and in which case that would probably be okay. You driving to that place of work would be okay. It's not a normal place of work. If you work from home a little bit, if you are doing some work on your career, but in the house, potentially you can claim an element of some of your household costs. All right, but you need to be able to prove it, right? Because if the revenue is saying, can you just justify?
Can you not pay my rent for 3 weeks?
90% of your, your electricity bill through the business and claimed it off your income tax, right? Laptops, likewise, same as phones, really.
Yeah.
Coffee while working in a cafe, I'd say 100% not.
No.
It's
nice try, Caddy. I like the thinking, but
I like the thinking for sure. It's I certainly not. I'm working while I'm drinking coffee, hence I'll claim the coffee. You're probably on a bit of a sticky wicket there. And honestly, it's not so much about obsessing about the little bits. I think it's about getting the big bits right. As we're going to come to in a minute with another question, there is currently they are bringing in something called Making Tax Digital for income tax. So for quite a while now, the government's been on this thing called MTD, Making Tax Digital, started with companies. So that simply means that instead of the for income tax bit means that instead of doing an annual income tax return once a year.
They're doing more regular ones, aren't they?
Annual once a year.
Yeah, nice.
No shit. Yeah. They will instead ask you to do quarterly submissions, and you'll need software to do it. Right, so you either need an accountant who's going to run that software for you.
Who you have to pay.
Of course, or you have to get very savvy with the software yourself. And so there's a lot of work for self-employed people. Currently, it's only if you're earning over 50,000 self-employed earnings that you have to do that. But from next April 2027, it's between 30 and 50,000.
Right, okay.
And after that, we don't yet know. It's not laid down yet. So honestly, Caddy, it's getting harder and harder to be freelance. So you either need to suck it up and pay a good accountant who really gets your field. And there will be specialist accountants in the theatre world, no doubt about that. Or you have to get good at software.
Well,
and understand what
you're
you're
young.
For.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thank you for your question, Caddy. Yeah, we need to keep going.
And much love to Mum and Dad.
Yes. All right, question 3 is from Tom. Dear Kate and Pete, I love the podcast and I think it's wonderful what you're doing. Thank you. I am not your target audience, but enjoy listening in any case. I am, in fact, the person you referred to in one of your pension episodes of that guy at work who you could go and ask some opinions of. I take an active role at work of trying to bring together 300 or 400 people together to try and impart information, education, and encourage investing for their long-term future. Well, Tom, you're doing brilliant things there.
Yeah, I should say so. Amazing.
I was wondering if either of you had any tips for trying to convince the younger people in the office to take it seriously. While Kate, I know you must have had the importance of financial acumen instilled in you from an early age, maybe the same is not true of your friends. Do you get objections like investing's not for me, or I'll think about pensions later, I'm going to opt out of my workplace pension now, or similar? What resonated with them that changed their viewpoint? While in my workplace, those over 40 pay careful attention, I feel I'm not convincing to the younger generation. I wonder if it is my own age that hinders this, as who wants to listen to the old man saying, I wish I'd done what I'm telling you now when I was younger. If you had a killer line or fact that gives younger folks their light bulb moment, I'd be very grateful. Thanks, Tom.
Killer line, I wish.
Yeah, right.
Silver bullet. So, and you've had conversation with peers.
Yeah, I think with this question and the first, I think we can be a little bit more, I can't think of the word. I think people are more interested than a lot of older generations think.
Yes, yeah, we need not to assume. But
Yeah.
it sounds like Tom's speaking from experience, though.
Yeah, true. I think it's not coming from a place of condescension.
No, it's nothing worse.
It just makes me hate you. I'm sorry. Like,
Sorry, Tom.
no, Tom, you sound
She's
like a
very
really
feisty.
lovely guy. But like, if I'm speaking on behalf of all mid-20-year-olds, which obviously I can't, but let's say that I can. As soon as it comes from well, you wouldn't know about this, but it's like, well, stop assuming that I'm stupid and little.
childish, yeah.
When you're breaking through into that working industry, you are doing everything to prove to yourself and prove to others that you are an adult and you are worthy of being there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have been hired just like your older peers.
Yeah.
You are worthy of being there. And as soon as it comes from well, let me tell you what you won't know.
Yeah. No, it's an
Even
immediate
if-
turn off, isn't it?
And even if it's coming from a good place. So I think if it's hey, come to me if you want, giving them the autonomy.
Yeah.
Hey, I have learned a load about finance that I think could be really useful to you. If you want, come grab me whenever.
Yeah, exactly. Made a load of stupid mistakes when I was 20, which I wish somebody had told me at the point. Not going to ram it down your throat, but if I can help you, come chat.
Immediately, I'm like, oh, okay. Probably wouldn't come to you straight away, but I would then have a question on my payslip, or I have something, and especially if I didn't have like a parental figure or another trusted adult that I felt I could talk to, I'd be like, well, Tom did say I could speak to him. Maybe I'll speak to Tom.
Yeah.
And immediately you've opened the door rather than like forced it down them.
Yeah, nobody wants that, is it? I wonder if there's a mechanism. It sounds like it's a pretty big employer.
Right, yeah, 300 to
I wonder if
400
there's a
people,
kind
so-
of an intranet or some kind of internal system where Tom could start writing stuff.
Yeah.
Or creating
Little
some kind of
videos.
content, little videos or whatever. Just from his point of view and knowledge of his company pension scheme.
Yeah.
So
Is
it's
he the
specific.
employer, do we think?
I don't know, actually.
I
That's
didn't
not
read it
obvious.
as he did.
No, I didn't read it as him
He
being
just-
the employer, just
somebody
a
who
sort
was-
of a keen and interested
Yeah.
senior employee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that would be great because then it sort of can be passively consumed, but in a sort of slightly more micro way of what I've done with Meaningful Money, just by getting tons of information out there. When people then have questions, they go, actually, let me just search that guy on the internet again that I saw and ask a question or
And-
whatever.
With an age, I mean, you're figuring everything out when you're in your early 20s.
course.
Well, I think you're always figuring stuff out regardless
Yeah,
of your age, but especially so when you're in your early 20s. And I think it can be, as warm and welcoming and lovely as you sound, Tom, it can be a bit embarrassing to ask.
Yes, of course.
So by giving them almost not the barrier, but giving them a separation. Oh, there's a load of videos here if you want to watch it. They don't have to tell you if they've watched it.
No, but if
It's
they're
quite-
really interested, they will.
They will, and it's quite nice. They don't have to come to you and ask
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
You've opened the door to them if they want to, but you also have given them the chance to do it in their own time.
Yeah. And different things appeal to different people. So,
Yeah.
Some people in your kind of target audience there, Tom, will be really driven by numbers. So you could bang on about compounding and the magic of what happens with the money you put away in your 20s and all that. Others will be more about sort of security and safety and what you could build for yourself at really very small amounts every month and what it could turn into and the security that would bring. And then obviously you can talk about emergency funds and budgeting and all that stuff as well. So, I think the motivation is obviously pure. And as Kate said, it's about kind of meeting younger adults where they are and not lecturing or
Yeah.
condescending to them, which I'm sure is not the
No.
intention. And then just finding a way to help them potentially consume it passively,
Yeah.
and then they will come to you.
Yeah.
Because who else are they going to go to?
I think the other thing I was going to say as well is taking it out of the abstract.
Yeah.
So whenever I've talked to people about it, it's whenever friends have come up to me is when there's been a very deliberate thing coming up. So that, like, I'm applying for student loans, help. Or, Kate, how the hell have you bought a house?
Uh-huh.
With Ben, he saw the numbers.
Yeah.
He saw my ISAs and he went, what
How? What?
have you done that?
Yeah.
And then it hooked him, or just like this. You see this issue that you might be having? This is how you fix it. Like, I think not just here's why you can have an emergency fund. It's like 250 quid on tyres I had to spend the other week didn't cripple me.
No, it didn't
How did you do
matter
that?
because you had the money inside.
So I think, that would be my other thing, taking it out of the abstract.
It's the real world.
Obviously you don't have to share your finances, Tom, but like
No. But
any personal stories and anecdotes probably help them connect as well.
yeah, I agree with that. Keep up the good work, Tom. Really important.
You sound like a really good
Top bloke.
human. All right, so this one is from Sean. It's really long, and I'll try and whip through it. It was actually sent to Meaningful Money. But the wonderful Nick, who kind of runs the Meaningful Money inbox, and it
And
is
then some.
and then some.
And much more besides.
Yeah, right. But in this sense, this
Yeah.
is part of his job. He contacted Sean and said, "Hey, this is more of a bank of dad question. Can I ask them?" And he went, "Yes."
Cool.
So Sean,
Thanks,
this
Sean.
is for you. So hi, Roger and Pete.
Hello, Roger.
Hello, Roger. That's me.
Roger's changed
I am
shape.
Roger. Yes. I've been listening to the podcast Meaningful Money for just under a year now on my way to work, and I think I've finally caught up with every episode.
If that's true, that's astonishing because there are 630 episodes.
Maybe it's the Q&As.
Maybe. Yeah. The
But then
630
saying
episodes.
that,
Well, who knows?
there's only 53 Q&As currently. Might be 58.
58, I think.
58. So he could easily do that. Anyway, Sean,
Six
you're
all
insane.
sorts.
So I've just skipped through a couple things about how he says all wonderful things about Pete and Rog, but I don't want to read that.
No, skip that.
A bit of background. Here we go. I'm 22 and have been working for just under a year after graduating from university with a degree that has absolutely nothing to do with my current job. Lots of people in that boat. I'm still living at home, which means no rent, no bills, and free food. Nice. The plan is to move out in around 18 months once I've completed the professional qualification for my job. The downside is that I'm earning close to minimum wage after struggling to find a graduate role, so I want to make sure I'm making the most of what I do earn. I recently cashed in premium bonds I've had since birth because I felt the money could be working harder. I used £16,000 to fill my stocks and shares ISA with accumulating global equity index funds.
Lovely. Lovely.
And invested around the same amount into a GIA, general investment account, with the same investment strategy. My parents also contribute $4,000 each year into my lifetime ISA.
Good.
My current plan is to invest $1,000 into the GIA each month, cover my spending, and put anything left over into a high interest savings account as my emergency fund, while also retaining a few premium bonds for the love of the game. At the end of each tax year, I plan to bed and ISA as much of the GIA as possible, rinse and repeat, and pray I don't end up with a capital gains tax bill. There's a lot to go through here.
Doesn't matter if you do. It's fine. Carry on. Yeah.
I also have a SIP that my parents started for me. It's currently invested 80% in equity ETFs and 20% in bonds, although I'm planning to switch it to 100% equities given my age. I've also changed my workplace pension from the default fund into a global equity index fund, but I'm only making the minimum contributions at the moment. So, my questions are, does my overall approach seem sensible?
This might be worth doing one at a time.
Does it?
Yeah. Yes, I do think it seems sensible. I don't see anything issue. My only query is, he says...
Is it the anything left over?
How did you guess?
Because you've written it down.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. It is the anything left over. My current plan is to invest £1,000 into the GIA each month, cover my spending, and put anything left over into a high interest savings account as my emergency fund.
Pay
My
yourself first.
My preference would be build the emergency fund first, even if it takes 5-6 months.
Yeah.
Personally, that's what I would do.
Because you could have an
And then
emergency much
invest.
sooner than that.
Well, you can, and it just seems to me to be splitting focus, both saving into an emergency fund and investing. But that's, to be honest, that's a bit of a judgment call. It's not sort of you should We don't
Yeah,
like should.
that's
anyway.
what you would.
That's what I would do.
would do.
But anyway, but otherwise, the approach is great. Love the investment approach because you're young.
Yeah.
Lifetime ISA, everything's sounding good here.
Right on, Sean. Okay, next question. Should I prioritise increasing my workplace pension contributions through salary sacrifice, contribute more to my SIP, or continue investing into my GIA?
Given the intention to buy a house, that is true, isn't it? Am I making that
It
up?
will be in a minute. Yeah.
Oh, that's a little bit
It's
later.
the next
right,
question.
Okay. Given that, I would...
He's only 22.
Yeah. Yes. And given that age, given the fact that he's still at home, and given his intention to buy a house, I would not increase the pension contributions personally. I would keep doing what he's doing and keep available money outside of pensions and then rethink it when the house purchase is imminent.
Because it's going to be a heck of a long time before you can access it. You can't just pull those back out. Once they're in the pension, they're in the pension.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking 36 years minimum before he can access any of the money he puts into a pension. And if he wants to buy a house now, before he's age 58, then, you don't want to lock up too much away into pensions. You can redress that balance a little bit later on. At 22, I would be all in on investing as opposed to pensions.
What you've said to me as well. I make the minimum contribution.
Yeah, currently. But you'll address that because you've been saving to buy a house.
Question 3. I don't really like the idea of renting. I know that's a controversial opinion.
Oh, really?
I actually on the same.
You'd be on the same page, yeah.
Yep. But my goal is to buy my first home as soon as possible. If I buy in around 18 months' time, I'll probably only have around 16 grand in my lifetime ISA. Can I use both my stocks and shares ISA and my lifetime ISA towards my house purchase, or is it one or the other?
You can use both.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I don't actually think it's as controversial as you think.
No.
I think it's a very, very personal thing. I, too, didn't want to rent, but my boyfriend did, and it worked really well for him. So it's totally up to you. Last question. Finally, my student loan.
Yes.
My parents have offered to pay it off as part of their estate planning to reduce a future inheritance tax bill. But we're unsure whether that's actually the best financial decision. I'd love to hear your thoughts, not advice, on whether that seems sensible. Sorry for the long email, but I know/hope you love these deep down. Thank you for brightening up my drive to work every morning. With the kindest regards, Sean.
It's a little insight into the kind of questions we get at Meaningful Money, isn't it?
Right.
Detail, length, multifaceted.
Yes.
Okay.
That was hard to read.
Yeah, it was. But no, it's lots of good questions, and it's nice to be able to help with this stuff. As far as the student loan is concerned, the chances are, I mean, I don't know what Sean's career prospects will be. He's obviously doing professional qualifications. It might be that he ends up a high earner and will end up paying off his student loan. But if he doesn't, then it's going to get written off eventually. At 20, if he's 22 now, chances are he may be on a Plan 5 loan, which is a 40-year payoff.
But he's currently earning minimum wage.
Minimum wage. So he's not
paying off.
Yeah, not paying any of it off, but he is still accruing interest.
Yeah.
So it's a bit, I think it's too simple to say, well, we'll just pay student loan off. If it were me, if my parents wanted to do some estate planning and make me a gift, I would say,
pay it to me?
Well, I would say make that gift and invest it, but ring fence it and say to parents, I will not spank that on a house or an Audi or anything like that. I will keep it as a potential student loan payoff fund, right?
Yeah.
And then see how his situation pans out. Because it doesn't make any sense to me to pay off a loan which might eventually be wiped off. No,
that money could be really beneficial elsewhere.
Because that money's gone. I mean, if he's done a 3-year degree, there's every chance he's got 50,000 quid worth of student loans. And so that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's, invested over 20, 30, 40 years, that's a ton of money. And I would just be saying at this very early stage of Sean's career, the current trajectory is that he won't get anywhere close to paying off all his student loans.
So why bother?
And so why should his parents do that? Because eventually it will be wiped off entirely. So why not then just kind of monitor the two?
Yeah.
Have the money if his parents want to do the estate planning.
Yeah.
So they want to reduce their estate by making him a gift. But strike a deal with them and says, I will keep that money ring fenced, but I will invest it aggressively.
Yeah.
And Sean is obviously very financially astute in some small way because he listens to Meaningful Money. So I'm sure he is able to sort of balance the accruing interest versus probably getting a better return invested versus his likelihood of his career trajectory, meaning he's going to be paying off his student loan. I imagine he can kind of hold that intention fairly easily. But rather than a sort of one and done and that money's gone, I think if it were me, I'd be saying, no, I'd rather invest that and see if I can double it.
Amazing. All right. So question 5 is from Maggie. Hello, Pete and Kate. Thank you for your time and efforts putting this channel together. It's much appreciated and a joy to listen to. You have such a lovely relationship that really shines through your conversations. Love to see it. Do we?
Nice. Oh.
Joking. Thank you, Maggie. My name is Maggie. I'm 37 years old and I have been in the UK for 13 years.
From 13 years. I presume that means she's been 13 years old.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Anyway, I'm self-employed, work as a private nanny, and my income has never been high, nor will it get higher with time like other jobs, as there are really no promotions or climbing ladders to look forward to. I came here without knowing the language or knowing anyone, so as you can imagine, it was not an easy ride. Nevertheless, I managed to buy a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in London 2 years ago, and after that was done, I have finally opened a stocks and shares ISA and SIP. So far, I have 65,000 split between them in VWRP Vanguard.
It's
Is that the full name?
a global equity investment fund, yeah.
Okay. My problem is my accountant. After years of telling me not to open a SIP as I don't make enough, discouraging me not to invest as it is risky and I wouldn't understand it and so on, this year was the final straw. How fucking condescending.
Oh my God, my head wants to explode at this point. Condescending much, yeah, right. Carry on. Honestly, this drives me nuts.
Like, Maggie, I'd be pissed off too.
Yeah.
I made 29,000 last year and invested 28 of it. Good effort. My fiance moved in with me and his salary covers all our bills. He kindly lets me focus on my pension before we have children as he knows I don't have much in there and he is in a better financial position for me.
He sounds like a top bloke.
I freaking love that
Fair
dude.
dues. Yeah, well done for bagging him. Do you know what I mean? Because he sounds
great.
That's really, really insightful, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, very pleased with that. It sort of offsets the crappy
How
accountant
pissed off we are at the accountant, yeah. I was proud of myself, you should be. After 13 years of saving for a property, now for a pension, no holidays or luxuries whatsoever. Yeah, 13 years. I think she moved 13 years ago.
Okay.
After 13 years.
Well, we'll see.
Anyway, no holidays or luxuries whatsoever. I managed to learn, start and fund a pension all by myself. Woohoo!
Amazing.
I didn't know what an ISA was or anything else for that matter. I felt that I had finally managed to build a stable foundation, a roof over my head, and now working for the future. With that in my head, I went to my accountant to present her with the numbers. She laughed at me, saying I am her lowest salary client, and with that salary, better work at McDonald's.
You've got to be freaking kidding me.
She also said to not compare with people on higher incomes and not think like that, aka invest, as it's not for me and my abilities.
I feel my blood pressure rising.
Riled. Since next year we have to do our taxes every 3 months, as we said, I am terrified I have to see this woman more often, not surprised, as she clearly doesn't want to help me. The only reason I started with her was that she's from my country and speaks my language. Since I didn't know English, I didn't have a choice at the time. Now I am looking for a new accountant, but every person/company I call tells me they don't deal with self-employed people on such a low income, especially when there are no probabilities of an increase in the future. I feel devastated and ashamed of the treatment I'm getting. I'm honestly thought that I was doing well considering the circumstances. I worked so hard to get to this point and I still am. Any advice on institutions, accountants, or general information about low-income earners? I feel so embarrassed listening to videos about income, pensions, etc., as I know that would never be me on a high salary or big pension pot. But I am working honestly for my money and I don't understand why no one takes me seriously and treats me as a criminal as if my money is dirty and somehow doesn't want to touch it. Please help me. Apologies for the long message. I thought the background might be useful. Yeah. Maggie, I'm so sorry. Your accountant sounds like
a twat.
An absolute cowbag. And I would deck her if I met her in person.
Honestly, this is a woman who came to the country without understanding English.
I mean,
the
first
English
of all,
is
it's
immaculate in this
written.
question.
Yeah.
And not only that, but has bought a house, opened an ISA and a SIP, so he's already light years ahead, Maggie, of many of your peers, I'm sure. Do you know what I mean? This is a woman who's grafted, taken her future into her own hands, has clearly found a great fiance who is, supportive.
And also got his head switched on with money as well.
Yeah, exactly. And understands that there's going to be an imbalance between him and her, particularly when children come on, and is pre-thinking that. I think there's so much to be proud of.
You
Maggie.
should be. Yeah, please don't be ashamed or embarrassed or any of those things. You're doing fantastically well.
God, it drives me.
That woman, your accountant, should be ashamed. That is disgusting.
I think there's very clear grounds here for complaint because your accountant has stepped way over the line. Firstly, an accountant, there's very clear things that, like, I, as a regulated financial advisor, can and can't say. Likewise, an accountancy is somewhat regulated. And an accountant would not be allowed to say you should not pay into a pension, I don't believe.
Especially because your ability.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't be a regulatory thing. But I reckon if you were to say at this point, this accountant said, I shouldn't pay into a pension, despite the fact that it would have been tax advantageous for you to do so, and you went to I can't remember the governing body is for accountants, I reckon you'd have serious grounds for a complaint here and potentially compensation. I think it's absolutely criminal what you've been told, Maggie. So the question is now what to do about it. We've said you have every right to be proud of yourself and
complain, apparently,
and complain about this bint of an accountant who clearly doesn't know what they're talking about.
Who's also just clearly a vile person. You should work at McDonald's. First of all, the hardworking people of McDonald's did not deserve to be slated.
No, exactly. One's looking after children. It's a noble calling.
Yes.
Right? And yes, underpaid. It's like carers.
Yes.
These people should be paid twice what they are because I wouldn't want to do that.
That accountant couldn't do it.
Well, no, yeah, exactly. And I'd be very interested to know if the accountant's, got a BMW on finance, right? So anyway, firstly, so you have to, okay, let's just sort of breathe a little bit and sort of come down off the precipice because we're about to sort of arm ourselves and head to wherever Maggie lives and find this accountant.
So mad.
So look, we need to work out what you do need to do. So the making tax digital for income tax that we talked about earlier on, if your earnings are 29,000, Maggie, then we don't actually know when you're going to have to do the quarterly thing yet. Because it's from April 2027, it's for those earning between 30 and 50. So if your earnings are 29, you don't quite fall into that. And they haven't yet set in stone when it's going to be for those earning over 20,000. The good money will be that it will be April 2028. So you've got a couple of years yet, just under. So if you can then be starting planning for that. If your accountant is any good, which I know they're not, but hopefully you will have picked up some of the things that you maybe can claim for and think about, what receipts you need to keep and stuff like that, a little bit like what we said to Caddy earlier on. If you're private nannying, it might be that you've got a couple of different families. We need to find out whether the houses are deemed to be your normal place of work or whether if you're changing families quite a bit that you're working for, whether that doesn't apply. But hopefully you've learned some things about what you can and can't claim for. You are clearly entirely capable. So I would be looking for a piece of software. So there are a few good options. Xero with an X. They're advertising everywhere at the minute. Xero with an X. Free Agent. Or QuickBooks. Those are the big players. And you can link them to your bank account, keep a separate business bank account, as we said to Caddy earlier on as well. You can link them to your bank account. You can categorize expenditure, anything that's definitely work-related, you can spend out of that account. Everything that's personal, you spend out your own account, all that sort of stuff. So you can do a lot of what the accountant is claiming to do for you. You can do it yourself. It's a lot easier than you think.
And if you've learned everything you've learned, including a frickin' language, you're more than capable of doing it.
Yeah, honestly.
I'm so furious.
I was mad as hell reading this question because you've got nothing to be ashamed about at all, Maggie. So sack your accountant with immediate effect. And
try not to deck her on the way out, but I would understand if you did.
No, exactly. And honestly, I think there's so clearly a basis for a complaint here, a formal complaint. But I understand why people might not do that, particularly if there's a sort of community element to it. So, but I think your accountant is in breach of about 1 million rules and certainly
we hate her.
In breach of being a decent human being.
Yeah.
You honestly, Maggie, you've got this. You're doing things so well. It's time to move to the next level, which is going to be taking a charge of your own tax affairs, I think. Now, there will be some accountancy companies that will take you. I would look for maybe accountants who specialize in nannies. You know, judicious Google search will probably help you with that. If not, there's a difference between full accountants and bookkeepers. And bookkeepers generally work at a much sort of lower level, if you like, in terms of the kind of clients they might be able to work with. Generally will cost you a lot less. So I'm sure you can find a local bookkeeper. If you've got nanny friends, ask them. Ask them who they're dealing with, right? Ask any other friends who are freelancers or self-employed who they're using as their accountants. I imagine you may have done this already. But don't stand for any crap from anybody who says that you're not worthy of of being a customer of theirs. Bear in mind that accountants are generally paid hourly rates. And so your money's as good as anybody else's. They could work for a millionaire for 2 hours, and they could work for you for 2 hours, and they'd earn the same money. Now, they might need to do more work for a millionaire, and that's kind of the point. Your affairs will be relatively simple, so they may not earn as much from you as they might from the millionaire, but still, your money's as good as theirs. So look for companies, accountancy companies, maybe who have an element of sort of, if there are any accountants who are B Corp, for example, that means they've been sort of proven to have a community sort of outward-looking approach to how they run their businesses. They are out there. A brilliant one called the Peloton. They're down in Penryn in Cornwall, so a long way from where you are, but they'll work remotely. All right, they're a B Corp, a great company, a good relationship with my own company. So look for these sort of better companies. Honestly, not everybody's a complete git, Maggie.
But I completely understand why you would think they would, because your accountant sounds like a
git. It would break anybody's spirit, the kind of things that Maggie's had to deal with. So, Maggie, chin up. You're doing amazing work.
Ignore that bint.
I'm glad we did that one last.
Yeah, me too. Although I am a bit ragey now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could go to war for Maggie.
I know.
I want to I want to give her fiance a hug as well.
Yeah. Sounds like a great team.
Anyway,
the two of them.
So, with that.
Yes, that's 5 questions dealt with, quite different. And we've got one carried over, so we'll either drop that into a...
Yeah, there's another one in our inbox as well. So
okay,
starting to build the list up again.
Yeah, so keep them coming. Keep the questions coming. hello@bankofdad.show. Just mark your email podcast question, and we'll just keep doing Q&As as they come in.
Yeah, absolutely. They're really fun.
They are.
And yeah, I apparently get quite ragey in some of them.
Well, this one particularly.
Yeah. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel as well. Please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Just really helps us keep going. And we will see you in the next one, which I think
it's about travel.
It's about travel
and money.
And
should
money.
So, yeah. Better do some research for that one.
Yeah, probably should.
I'm going to wear my Rush t-shirt. Bear in mind that I've just been traveling.
Have you brought it?
Yeah.
Okay, because we're filming this one next.
Yeah, we are.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we will see you in the next one.
Cheers.